So please, you need to allow me to share.
You can share now.
Okay. Share. Okay. Please let me know as soon as you can see the screen.
I can see your screen.
All right. So good morning once again, everybody. So in the last class, we started discussing data modeling, and we looked at some of the reasons why you would want to model your data and what that would translate to on your report. Then we started looking at some of the steps when it comes to data modeling. How do we begin to model our data? What are the things we need to put into consideration? And we didn't complete that in the last class. So we would be shooting on that to complete that today. And so also go into some bits around data visualization. All right. So just very quickly, we'll have a quick revision. We'll remember some of the for data modeling. Why would you want to model your data? Anybody remembers why would you want to model your data? Anybody? Anybody wants to give it a try? Why are we modeling? What's the reason for modeling? Okay, let me remind us. Essentially, the reason why we're modeling is one, if we have a situation where we are connecting to multiple tables, we need to model so that we can enable communication between these different set of tables. That is the first reason why you would want to model. The second reason why you're modeling is if you have a very large flat file for optimization's sake, and so that you have a better performance of your report, you need to also model the data. So we were looking at some of the steps to modeling in the last class, and that's where I would want us to quickly pick it up now so that we don't expend a bit more time on this. So we have spent about 20 minutes already from the time that we have. I would want every one of us, the file that we used in the last class for the data modeling exercise, please have it opened. As soon as you do, kindly type on the chat. Please let me know in the chats when you have the file.
Hello, Mr. Musin.
Yes, sir.
Please, how do I open a saved Power BI file on a different PC?
On a different PC.
Yes.
Okay, so the PC you are on now is not the PC you used in the last class.
Yes.
Except if you have the Power BI file saved on OneDrive, that's the only way you can access it now.
Through OneDrive.
Yes, so you go to OneDrive, then you see the file in the storage there, but you still need to download it first before you can launch it.
Yes, it's downloaded. So I'm talking about how do I launch it in Power BI desktop?
No, just go to your download, double click, it will launch Power BI itself.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then there was an Excel file that we used for the modeling exercise, or we didn't take that down in the last class. Is that the case? Abdulsamad Olawale and Sadiq.
Hello, good morning, sir. I didn't get that.
Okay. Olawale, how about you?
Okay, are you referring to the one saved with Superstore? Is it that one?
You remember that there's if you're looking at my screen,
Yeah,
there
I'm
was a
looking at
file
it.
that we used for this exercise. Did you follow through with this? Did you take it down?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Probably
yes,
when
I
my
did.
laptop went off.
Okay.
Okay.
And you've not watched the recording, Olawale?
No, I did, but not up to this side. I had
Okay.
power issue, so I just fixed it this morning.
Okay, no problems. Sadiq.
Yes, the file is open in Excel.
Okay. All right. So for the sake of those of us that we didn't follow through with this in the last class, I will just quickly do a recap. So when we talk about data modeling, thanks for the feedback, Sadiq. When we talk about data modeling, there are a couple of steps that we need to follow through. So in the last class, we looked at the first three steps, but I would want us to quickly take that again so that just a moment, I'm getting back to that slide so I can push it up. So these were the steps that we highlighted. And so what we did in the last class was to look at the first three steps, and we looked at the first three steps, and we saw how practically that will be done in Excel. So I'll be toggling between this slide and my Excel now. The very first thing you would do, and I would want us to follow through with this. The file I'm using is the file that has, what is the name of this file again? I think this is Superstore, if I'm correct. Let me share this same file on the chart. But I will just want us, so I'll need to close it first. Then I will drop this on the chart for us. No, not from SharePoint. So I'm sharing from my PC, and from the download, I say this. Open. So let's download the file as soon as it's in. So it's still sending. Yes, it's in now. Let's download it so we have it saved. So that is the data we are using so that we can use that to follow through. And I would just want to launch back mine. This is 8. And so I want to wipe this out. And so we can start again. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Please confirm when you have the file downloaded. For Lawali and Abdulsamad, please. Step 4, step 5. Downloaded, opened. Okay, thank you, Mr. Samad. How about you? So you could just add a new worksheet, or you clear what's on the steps on the current worksheet that you would have that has all of this done already up to step 3, so that we'll see how that's done. So I'm not sure what is here. So the very first step in the data modeling processes is that we need to identify all reporting fields. That's the first thing you're doing. You need to identify all report fields. What does this mean? Your report fields are just your column headers. So they are your column headers. Everything you have as your headers, they are your report fields. So here in this case, from order ID down to what's the last column that I would have? Okay, I guess because I have my zoom up. So up to profit. So that is our column header. So everything here is what we have as our report field. So what we'll do as step number 1 is to have everything like this highlighted. So highlight all the column headers. Then you can go to that other worksheet where you want to itemize your data modeling steps, and you paste the headers under step number 1. So let's paste the headers under step number 1. That is the very first step, which is to identify all the report fields. So as soon as you have this done, please confirm that that has been done. Please, let's make it a bit faster so that we can catch up some with where we want to get. Just a minute. Wa alaikum salam. Please, I'm still waiting for our feedback. Any challenge, let me know. The class is quiet. Please let me know what's happening. Abdul Samad Alawali Abdul Kudus.
After I forgot
You've done what?
the code to paste it.
Okay, so have you copied?
Yes, I've copied it.
Okay, go to the first cell, the cell where you want to paste. Just stay on the very first one.
Okay.
Then press Alt.
Okay.
E
Uh,
S
E
V E.
S E L T S E.
Alt E S V E. Now paste as transpose for you. And you just hit enter on your keyboard or you press OK. Are you good now?
No, not yet.
Please share your screen. Let me see what you have.
Okay. Oh,
Okay, go to the others worksheet. Okay, you have it copied. Then come to that worksheet. Stay on the first cell, then Alt E.
E
Yes, S
S V
V E.
E.
Yes, okay. Or enter.
Yeah. That's it.
All right. So Abdul Olawale, are we good?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So let me get back to this. So that is the very first step. The first step is just you identifying your reporting fields. So which is typically your column headers. Step number 2 says that we need to now categorize the fields. Those fields that we have identified, we'll categorize them into report lines or values. So we have two categories we want to split this entire column into. This column 1, we want to split it into two categories. We have the report line, and we have the values. And I mentioned that your values are the columns that you can perform aggregations on. Whatever column that will eventually make sense if you do a sort of a summation of the values in that column, then that is a values column. So anything that's a values column, you have a V in front of it, you tag it with a V. Any column that is not a values column, we tag it with an R. So let's look at this now. Which ones did we say that are the values column? Which of
The
these
last 4 rows.
columns? The last what?
4 rows. Sales, quantity, discount, on profit.
Sales, quantity, discounts, and profits. Thank you for that, Sadiq. Abdul Olawale Abdul Samad, do we agree with that answer?
I didn't get that part.
Okay, so my question is, which of these columns would make sense if we perform aggregations on them? So for instance, if we pick product name column and we sum up the items we have under that column, would it make sense?
No.
Okay, so which of these columns can we perform aggregations on?
Sales, quantity, discount, and profits.
Perfect.
Those last 4.
The last 4.
Yeah,
So these last 4, they are the candidates for aggregation. So we just tag them with a V. So the last 4 tag with a V. and any other column that potentially we cannot perform aggregations on them, we will tag them with a R. Sorry, what did I do? Okay, I did Control R. So we tag them with a R. Are we good?
Yes.
All right. So that's step number 2. So step number 2 is we are categorizing into report lines and values. Step number 3 is we now work on the R's. So on this step, we are ignoring the V's. For the R's, we will now group them into natural hierarchies. We group them together, those things that are related. What this means is that when we look at some of these columns, the items that we have here, they are related. I'll give us a quick example here. If we look at location ID, for instance, location ID is the ID of a particular area within a particular city. That city is situated in a particular state. The states, or there is a particular postal code that is tagged with that area, and this state is sitting in a particular region. So to put this into context, let's assume that we have a location of, the location is Ikeja, for instance. Ikeja, or let's say we have Omale Phase 1. Omole Phase 1 is the location. So you might have an ID, say Omole 123. The Omole 123, that is for Omole Phase 1 estate, is situated in Ikeja. So Ikeja is the city. Ikeja city is located in Lagos State. And Lagos State is in the southwest region of the country. The postal code, Ikeja might have a postal code of 111002 or something like that. So all of these items that we have here, they are related. They form a natural hierarchy such that one is above the other, one is above the other. The same thing maybe in Abuja. We have, perhaps there is a location called Guagalada or something like that. Then that is situated in Abuja, which is the city. Abuja is situated in Nigeria, which is the country. Or we say Abuja is in the north central region, that is the region, and the north central is in Nigeria, which is the country. Nigeria is in West Africa. West Africa is in Africa. That is a natural hierarchy. So there is a relationship, there is a dependency that happens within those. So whatever we see from our R's, that we believe that these would form a sort of a natural hierarchy, we group them together. So that is what we are doing on step number 3. So we have identified now that everything that we have from location ID down to region, they form a natural hierarchy, they are related, so we tag them as D1. That is our first step. So let's do it, everybody.
Anyway.
We have tagged everything from location ID to region D1. This I need a very quick feedback so that we can move a lot faster.
Yes, that's been done.
Okay, so let's look at this again. Which other thing or which other items, report lines do we think would also form another natural hierarchy?
With the product ID.
Okay, so product ID with what?
Category.
Okay.
Subcategory and product name.
Perfect. The product ID belongs to a particular product name. So a product name will typically have a product ID. So in the business, let's say we sell bread. Bread would have a code. There will be a code that we use to tag bread. So it might be B1, maybe something like that. Then bread belongs to a subcategory. Maybe it belongs to a subcategory of flour mills. Then flour mills belongs to the category of consumables. So that is a natural hierarchy there. So those they have relationship with one another. So we put product ID down to product name. Let's tag that as D2. That is our second dimension. That's the second dimension. So if you look at sales rep, sales team manager, those form another hierarchy, another relationship exists there. So we say D3. So because if you look at a sales rep, every sales rep will belong to a sales team. And every sales team is expected to have a sales manager. So there is something connecting them. In the same vein, if you look at our customer ID, a customer ID would typically have a customer name. So customer ID might be customer 123. The customer name might be Olawale, and Olawale as the customer has a particular segment that we have categorized into. So for us, it might be that because Olawale buys consumables from us, we have put Olawale, a customer, inside of the consumable customer segment. So that might be something that we have done. So this is another category here. So this is D4. And now we're left with order ID, order date, ship mode, this 4 that we have here.
Okay, so can we classify order ID and order date?
What is our justification?
Since they fall under the same category, if we make a particular order, maybe tag and a particular ID, then the date it was ordered.
The date it was ordered. Yeah. Come again. I didn't get that explanation well.
Okay, so I'm saying if I make a particular order, maybe possibly already tagged, having a particular ID, and then to link to the order date. And then same thing for the ship date and the ship mode. Will that work?
So what you're thinking is, if we know, what you're thinking is there is a relationship between the order ID, order date, ship date, and the ship mode.
No, separately. Order ID, order date, then ship date, ship mode.
Okay, let me
separately
pick the ship date and the ship mode.
Okay.
Can I use the ship date? So for instance, let me pick it this way. If I have a sales rep, I already do know what the sales team the rep belongs to. And once I know the sales team, I definitely would know who the sales team manager is. So because it's our organization, so I know how that runs. So I pick any sales rep, immediately I can say that this sales rep belongs to this sales team. And whichever sales team that I know of, then I can say that, okay, this is the sales team manager. But in this case, if you look at ship date, can we say that for any ship date we are picking, it should be the ship date? Can we say that? So this would only work if it was a situation whereby anything that was shipped on a particular day must have a specific ship mode. Do you get? So which means that if we have something shipped on Monday, the ship mode would always be a first class. That is when we will say that they are related. Or if we have something shipped on Friday, the ship mode would always be a normal class or a second class ship mode. That's the sort of relationship that we want between them. That's the only way we can say that these things are related. I don't know if anybody's getting my explanation.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is the sort of relationship. So if I say that there's a relationship between order ID and order date, it means that what I'm saying is that for any specific order ID that we find, there has to be an order date that is attached to it. So which means that if any order ID ends with or starts with 1, we expect that it is shipped on day 1 of the month. Any order ID that starts with 2, we expect that to be shipped on day 2 of the month. Will that exist such a relationship between these?
No.
There won't be. So all of the remaining 4 guys that we have here, they are not related. And so we give them their individual dimensions. So we stopped on 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will be D5, D6, D7, and D8. So that's how we're having. So these are all our dimensions, D1 down to D8. So we have the 8 different dimensions in here. Step number 3, that's what we have treated. And what we did on this step was to look at our R's, the report lines, based on the categorization we did on step number 2, to now put things that are related, put them together in a dimension. Step number 4 is saying that we need to now identify a dimension key. What does a dimension key mean? It means that thing that has the lowest granularity. What we mean by granularity is just big words there. I know we already do know that. So what it means is that what is that thing that once we have it, it gives access to every other thing that we need. If we look at a building, the building or a house would have different doors. There are different ways to get into the house, but there will be a single door that everybody must pass through first before you can get to any other parts of that building. It might be a gate if the building is enclosed within a fenced area. So it means that the gate there is the key. It is that which has the lowest granularity, such that anybody that wants to access anything within that building, they need to get to the gate and use the key on that gate first before they will get into the building. So that is how to say the lowest granularity. So if you look at a family would have the father, the mother, the children, for instance, or the child. The child would be the one with the lowest granularity because the child would typically grant us access to the father and the mother. So if we go through the child, for instance, somebody beats the child, most likely you'll get an attack or you'll get rebuked by the father or the mother. But the same thing would not happen if otherwise. If somebody beats the father, it's possible that the child is there and is not doing anything, it's just watching you. So which means that the father in that instance does not have the lowest granularity. So what has the lowest granularity is what will give us access to every other thing. Let me give us a quick example here. If you look at our D2, product ID, category, subcategory, and product name. In all of these 4, if we have the category is the biggest. It's not possible that we get to know what are all the subcategories immediately and what are all the product IDs. But if we know the product ID, we know that the product ID has a product name. So it will grant us access to the product name. If we know the product ID, it will grant us access to the category, the subcategory, because we know that all products belong to a subcategory. If we know the product ID, it immediately will grant us access to the category. We know that all product ID will belong to a product category. So this is how this works. Do we understand this before I proceed?
I'm sorry, please, can you come over that last part again? Where you say all
Okay.
product ID.
Okay. So what I'm saying is this. If we look at our individual product ID, let me make this a bit more practical here. So I'll come here. Let me go to a product ID. So this is our product ID column. Or let me start this way. We have the category. This is the category. If I apply filters on this, it says that we have only 3 unique categories. Let me filter down to furniture, for instance. I'll do okay. This is category, and we have furniture here. Furniture, it means that furniture has a couple of subcategories. So if I come to the subcategories, for furnitures, we have 4 subcategories. And of course, that would grant us access to a couple of product names. Say we have numerous product names. It means that we knowing the category to be furniture does not necessarily mean that we will be able to know what subcategory specifically. Do we agree?
Yes.
Do we understand the point I just made?
Yes.
Okay. But if I do something else, let me clear filters from here. Let me select a single product ID. I'll select a single product ID here and I'll do okay. When I selected a single product ID, see what we have. Immediately, we understand that this product ID belongs to this category, belongs to this subcategory as this product name, which means that because I don't have multiple items here, it means that a single product ID already grants us access to the other information. When I did that on the categories column, so if I go back here and I clear filters on this, and I go back to my category column, and then I select furniture, I come back to this, I see I have lots more information, which means that knowing the category alone does not mean that I will know what the other details for that category is. And because the category here seems like a parent thing, a parent can have multiple children. And when we know the parent, it doesn't necessarily mean that we will know all their children. The father might have many children. The father might have some children that even the wives don't know about. So it doesn't mean that we'll get to know all the children. But when we know a child, it's very possible, realistic, that we'll get to know the parent. Do we understand this analogy?
Yes.
Great. So which means that what we are looking for when we say lowest granularity is that we are looking for what the child is. Because we know that once we know the child, we would know the parents. And so the child in this instance is the product ID, because we saw that once we filtered to a product ID can only have a product name. A product name can only belong to a subcategory. A subcategory is expected to have only a single category. So your product ID is the child here, is the one with the lowest granularity. So it is that which will grant us access to every other thing if we know it. So we'll come here now, having identified product ID as the one with the lowest granularity. So we'll just come here and we tag this with the key. So we can put this to be maybe F key or something like that. Just tagging it as the key to this particular dimension, the dimension of D2. So now everybody look at D1. Tell me what the key should be, the one with the lowest granularity.
Location ID.
Location ID. Thank you, Abdul Samad. Anybody else? What do we think?
Yes, location ID.
Okay. So location ID, yes, that's it there. So we put some location ID, that is our key. So let's look at our dimension, D3, sales rep, sales team manager. What is our key here?
Sales rep.
Perfect. Sales rep. So that is the key. D4, what is the key?
Customer ID.
Customer ID, perfect. And the remaining ones that they are just single in their dimensions. They are all the keys. So let's complete this and let me know once you have this completed. All right, thank you, Sadiq. Thank you, Lawali. Abdul Samad, Abdul Qudus. Have we completed this? Step number 4.
Done.
Okay, thanks for that. So step number 5, the final step now, it says that we now identify our fact file fields. What we're doing here is very simple. So whatever, let me explain this way. When we talk about dimensional modeling, there are different kinds of models that we can have. We can have a star schema model, and we can have a snowflake model. If I'm not mistaken, yes, star schema and snowflake. Stack schema is what we have that is most common. And that is just that. It's a situation whereby you will have something like this, then another one will be here, another one will be here, something like this, another one will be here, something will be here. So this is what is called a star schema. You have your different tables combining, getting to be related to one another and forming a sort of a star. So that is what is meant by star schema. So this is related to this guy, then this guy here, this guy is also speaking to this one, then this one is also speaking to this guy here, and this guy is also speaking to this one here. So what you have at the center is called a fact table. And every other one, this one, this one, this one, this one, that we have that is different, they are the dimension tables. Dimension tables. So we have the fact table and we have the dimension. So the dimension tables, they are the D1, D2, and all of these that we can see here. And the fact table is that which would have all of the keys that we have for our dimension and the V's that we add on step number 2. So your fact table, your fact is equal to the dimension keys plus your values. That's what will be in the fact. And so what we'll do on step number 5 will now be to say that everything that we have as our keys, we highlight them and then we make this in F. So it will be in the fact file. So all of this will be in the fact file. This one will be in the fact file. And then all our V's would be in the fact file. So let's complete that, everybody. Just let me know when we're done. Okay, well done, Olawale. Well done, Sadiq. Abdul Qudus, Abdul Samad. Let's confirm we have this done. Abdul Samad, Abdul Qudus, if we are together. Okay, maybe we are. Okay, so now what we have done now is to build out our data model. So our data model, the raw things that we're meant to do is what we have done here. And so this will result into what we have like this. Like I mentioned, the reason why we're doing this, 2 reasons. For this kind of modeling, we're trying to break down a big table like this into smaller bits so that we have our model much more optimized. So eventually, if you calculate the number of data points that we would have in this model compared to this, it will be significantly smaller when we complete this. And secondly is that, for instance, if it were to be a situation whereby we are connecting to different tables, we will have different tables like this, different dimension tables already in our database, and we need to connect to them all. And of course, our transaction file as well, which is the fact file. Then we need to construct a data model like this to enable the tables speak to one another. Once we have completed this on our file, then it needs us to translate this. This is the engine. This is the code. You have written the code now. So it's now meant for us to now execute the codes to make this work. So that our table, the oldest table, which was like this, eventually becomes something realistic like this. And so the way to go by that is now to connect our actual data and break down that table into following whatever we have outlined here. But before we go on, what I will just quickly mention is this. Any dimension that you observe that it is alone, in that dimension, it has a single column. Just allow them be in the fact file. We don't need to create extra dimensions for them. And why I'm saying that is this D2 that we see here, for instance, everything D2 here would become a table like this. So this will be D2. This will be D2 here. So let me say, yeah. Then this D1, everything D1 here, this is another dimension. So this will be D1. Everything D3, that's another dimension. So this will be D3. Everything D4 here, that's another dimension. So this will be D4. This will be D4 here. Then every other thing, these guys that are staying alone and everything else that we tagged as F, they will all be in the fact file. So that's how we're doing. And that is what this will translate to in our data model on the Power BI file. Do we understand this before we proceed? Any question, please?
Well,
Okay, my question. Okay, so do you wanted to ask?
okay, yes. So you spoke about this D5, D6, D7, D8 that they will be in the fact file, which is the fact table.
Yes.
Okay, they won't be as a dimension like D2, D3, D4, D1.
Yes, the reason why they won't be as a dimension like D1, D2, D3, D4 is that it will eventually be redundant. Why will it be redundant? Because we have single items there and they are their own keys.
Okay.
So if we have them already represented in the fact table and we have another table that we call D5, it has a single column there and the column is already even on the fact table. So it will be redundant.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. Olawale, your question.
Yeah, it's almost the same question I wanted to ask, so it's fine.
Okay, all right. So let's go on now. So I'll be connecting to this file. So let's launch our Power BI, everybody. So while my Power BI is coming up, I would quickly, please, a minute, let me use the restroom. So please, let's confirm when we have our Power BI file launched and we connect to the SAM Superstore data. So let's connect to the Superstore data. Okay, so I'll connect to this very quickly. Superstore. So connect to the orders worksheet and I'll transform. Okay, so I have my Power Query. So I have my Power Query here. Please confirm if you have yours as well. You have your pastor data loaded. Okay, thank you, Lawali. Who else? And you have the orders under your query. That should be the only thing under your query for now.
Yes, confirm.
Okay, thanks for that. Abdul Quddus Sadiq, do we have it? All right, so we have this now. Our guide is what we have here. This is what we guide us. So now we have seen that we need 5 tables, D1, D2, D3, D4, that's 4 tables, and our facts, which would have all the keys and the values, so which makes it 5 tables. So we need 5 different tables. So because we need 5 tables, what we'll do here is to come here to our queries, do a right click on this, and let's duplicate it. I think we need to duplicate 4 times to make it 5. So duplicate, right click, duplicate, right click, duplicate, and I'll do it one more time. Duplicate. So we have 5 of this now. So once you have 5 different queries, you have your orders query duplicated, please let me know. Okay, so we have this now. So let's begin with the first dimension. So our first dimension, D1, has 5 columns: location ID, city, state, postal code, and region. So remove every other column aside from those 5. So you can stay on the first query. We know how to do that already. So you remove any other thing aside from those 5. So location ID, city, state, postal code, and region. So we removed every other column, so we should have just 5 columns on this table now. What's it?
I want to do like
this. Have we removed all the columns? Do we have just 5 columns now on this query? Okay. If there's a challenge, please let me know.
Okay, hello?
Yes, Solawale.
Okay, I'm trying to remove, so I have to go to remove column. That's,
Okay,
I'll go to the first order, then I'll click on order ID, then remove column.
That will be removing one by one.
Oh, okay.
So what you can do is go to beside the remove columns, you see choose columns.
Okay, okay.
Then click on choose columns so you can uncheck every other column that you don't need.
Okay, okay.
All right. Okay, well done, Sadiq. Solawale of the Summer of the Kudus, let me know when we're done. All right. So another thing is with our dimension files. Dimension, remember that dimension is just giving us information. So we have location ID. We expect that a location ID will belong to a city will belong to a state will belong to a region. So one of the key features of your dimension files is that it shouldn't have duplicates. Your dimension files should not have duplicates. So what we'll do is stay on any of the columns, do a Control A to highlight all, and do a right click and say remove duplicates. Once we have done that, then we are done with the first dimension. And so the other thing we'll just do so that we make this different is to come to the orders query here, where we have the orders query, double click on it, and then let's rename this file. So here we have the D1, that is what we have here, but this D1 is talking about location. So we can call this the location table. So but what I do is I do something like this. I add a D so that I know that this is a dimension table. So I do D underscore location. So we have this done. Please let's confirm, everybody. You have removed duplicates and you have renamed the query. Thank you, Sadiq.